When you think of bad franchises in the NBA, teams that have historically underperformed year after year, you think of organizations like the Charlotte Hornets, maybe the Minnesota Timberwolves, or even the New York Knicks. And then there are those that are exceptionally bad, like the Sacramento Kings, who have not been able to make the playoffs or even posted a winning record since before the first model of the iPhone was released, and this year's number 1 draft pick, Paolo Banchero, was just 3 years old. Let that sink in. A team that has missed on so many draft selections and made absolutely horrendous front office decisions over the past 15 years to make them the laughingstock of the NBA. Somehow, though, has finally managed to put together a well-rounded team that will finally finish the season with a winning record and find themselves in the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy this type of content, then feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell, as it does help the channel grow, and in return I'll be providing more NBA content like this all season long. Who here remembers the 2002 NBA playoffs, more specifically the 2002 Western Conference Finals between the Sacramento Kings and the LA Lakers? I know I do. As a high school kid growing up watching basketball and despising the Lakers, I wanted nothing more than to see a small market team like the Kings take out the Shaq and Kobe Bryant-led Lakers. The LA Lakers were in search of their 3rd straight title and first three-peat in franchise history since the shot clock era. Everyone was getting tired of the Lakers winning, except for Lakers fans, of course. And with the Sacramento Kings having been one of the best teams in the NBA, poised to win their franchise's first title since being the Rochester Royals back in 1951, the thought was that the Kings are the only legitimate threat to the Lakers securing their 3rd straight title. And after a heavily fought close battle of a series that saw the Lakers winning by 1 in Game 4 to tie the series 2-2, to then the Sacramento Kings winning by 1 on their own home court in Game 5 to take a 3-2 series lead, most thought that it was all but over for the Lakers, as they would need to win both Game 6 and 7, Game 7 being on the road, until this happened.
This series, and a foul, an offensive foul. Trying to buy some time for Lonnie Levox, had a foul. Scott Pollard with number 6. Sacramento for Game 7. Weber called for the offensive foul. That's number 5 on Weber.
And this is a terrible call. Chris Weber has this all the way. Look at his feet. His feet are outside of Robert Horry's. And right now.
Here's Bryant putting the ball on Christie, rejected and fouled. With the number 6.
Oh, Weber has a great block on this ball. I'm not sure where in front of him. And he's going to come, an elbow. Yes, an elbow right in.
The worst officiated game I have ever seen in my life, which is saying something considering how bad NBA officiating has been this season. But officiating this poorly when the stakes are so high is inexcusable. Of course, ref conspiracy theories would go out later on that the game was fixed. Referee Tim Donaghy was later found guilty and sent to prison for point shaving with money he had on various games throughout the early 2000s. And the truth is, we'll never know if in fact that game was fixed. Me personally, I don't buy into ref conspiracy theories that they're intentionally making bad calls to throw games. This is just bad officiating, and then there's good officiating. But this series is damn near close to being the most suspicious when it comes to fixing a game. Of course, the Kings would lose that Game 6, and after a demoralizing defeat and the momentum on the side of the LA Lakers, they would go on to lose Game 7 in Sacramento. The Lakers would secure their title, and the Kings would slowly fall apart after that, never making it beyond the 2nd round after that season, losing Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, and head coach Rick Adelman would later be fired after failing to get the Kings beyond the 1st round of the playoffs in 2006. And that would be the last time the Kings would make the playoffs. Bad decision after bad decision, busted draft picks, 11 head coaches in the span of 16 years, not counting interim head coaches, which there's been a lot of those as well, inability to sign quality free agents, bad trades that have led to the longest playoff drought by any team in NBA history. I've heard some people ask, well, how bad were the Kings really when it came to drafting players? Because all teams have failed and busted lottery picks from time to time. Well, the Kings give the word a new meaning when it comes to drafting so poorly and so consistently over the last 16 years. Here are a few busted draft picks made by the Kings to illustrate this. Spencer Hawes, taken 10th overall in 2007, ahead of guys like Thaddeus Young and Marc Gasol. Jason Thompson, ahead of guys like Serge Ibaka and Nicholas Batum. In 2009, they drafted Tyreke Evans, who actually appeared to be a star in the making, having one of the best rookie seasons the NBA had seen since LeBron James, but he quickly fell off when they could have selected guys like Steph Curry, DeMar DeRozan, or Drew Holiday instead. And it keeps getting worse from there. In 2012, they selected Thomas Robinson 5th overall right before Damian Lillard. Most people probably don't even remember Robinson because he only played 5 seasons in the NBA. 2017, they took Ben McLemore 7th overall ahead of, you guessed it, Giannis Antetokounmpo, but then again, a lot of teams passed on Giannis. 2014, Nick Stauskas 8th overall. 2015, Willie Cauley-Stein 6th overall. 2016, Marquise Chris 8th overall. And then, of course, arguably the worst decision in their franchise history, drafting Marvin Bagley 2nd overall ahead of Luka Doncic. All those players that I just mentioned are either out of the league or are journeymen barely able to stay in the rotation on their respective teams. Yes, the Kings hit on De'Aaron Fox, who has been an absolute stud for them this season, and they hit on Tyrese Haliburton, but quickly traded him away to the Pacers for Domantas Sabonis, but that's actually turned out to be a great pickup for them as well. But no team, not even the Knicks or the Timberwolves, have consistently been this bad when it comes to drafting players. And obviously a lot of the blame has to be placed on the previous GM in Vlade Divac, who said he didn't want to draft Luka because they already had a point guard in De'Aaron Fox at that time. As if you couldn't trade him after the fact to get some value for De'Aaron Fox. The Kings and their moves were so bad that the show's NBA The Jump started having segments on their show titled as The Kings Turn. And look, every season where you thought the Kings were going to maybe finally make a turnaround, they always seemed to come up short, even in a handful of years where they had some nice talent on their roster. But there were a few big changes going into the season that completely turned their franchises around, and dare I say it, made them relevant again in the NBA as one of the top teams in the Western Conference. First off, they finally got a new front office with a new executive in Monte McNair after firing Vlade Divac in 2020. That needed to happen. And then, of course, firing Luke Walton, who was a horrible coach. And the only reason the man was able to get 2 head coaching jobs with the Lakers and Kings was because he was an interim head coach in that insane 44-3 run with the Warriors when they went on that year to win 73 games. And even though Mike Brown has had his struggles over the years in coaching, he's been a great fit for them. But the biggest difference maker in this season for the Kings has been the incredible dynamic duo of De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, with Fox specifically rising to stardom. That and the fact that the Kings also went out and got some quality shooters on team-friendly contracts, which I'll talk about. But De'Aaron Fox has taken his game to a new level, playing out of his mind and leading this Kings team to their best record in nearly 2 decades, improving his overall scoring prowess, both in his quick first step and ability to attack the rim, but also playing effectively in the pick and roll with Sabonis, and even improving his outside shot, which he's never really been known for his 3-point shooting. And then for Domantas Sabonis, a guy who has quickly become one of the more underrated big men in the NBA for his elite level rebounding and his efficiency in scoring around the basket, particularly off second chance opportunities. And while Sabonis had been playing at the 4 for most of his time in Indiana, Sabonis has truly thrived being at the 5 because of his high IQ and in being an excellent passing big man, borderline Jokic levels in terms of his IQ and court vision. Sabonis is such a better fit at center than what he was being utilized in Indiana at the 4. And then, of course, the Kings shooting, one of the best shooting teams in the NBA and the best offensive team in the entire NBA by offensive rating. The Kings adding guys like Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk, who are some of the best catch-and-shoot shooters in the game, even though Monk is having a bit of a down year with his overall shooting efficiency. Not only that, but also hitting on a solid draft pick, taking an older rookie in Keegan Murray, 4th overall, who has shown to be a solid outside shooter early in his career, which, by the way, a lot of people criticize the Kings for taking Murray over Jaden Ivey. You also add the savvy veteran of Harrison Barnes, who has just been a solid player in every team that he's played on in his career, and the 2 stars, who are both incredible playmakers as well as efficient scorers. You combine that with the strong outside shooters and veteran leadership, that's the perfect recipe for a high-quality team in today's NBA. What makes the Kings so dangerous is that even if you try to double on De'Aaron Fox, or even if you do your best to defend the pick and roll between him and Sabonis, you do everything you can to place all of your attention and focus on both of those guys. But given the fact that the team is deadly shooting from outside and their ability to space the floor, it makes them near impossible to guard as a collective unit. You double Fox, you're going to see a wide open Monk or Huerter from outside. Same if you give too much attention and focus on the pick and roll between Fox and Sabonis. They have so many weapons on offense in their arsenal, and it's why they're the number 1 team in offensive rating, the number 1 scoring team in the league, averaging an insane 121 points per game, and 2nd in the league in field goal percentage. The Kings' defense, though, is another story, and it's why I don't think they can be considered true contenders in the West with their lack of defense, especially come playoff time. But if the Kings could somehow improve their defense, get some solid perimeter defenders or rim protectors in the offseason, that would be a game changer for this franchise and actually propelling them into title contention. Even just being slightly above average on defense would do it, because their offense is just that good. So it's weird because it's always been fun to poke at the Kings over the past 16 years or so and just how bad they have been managed as a franchise. To see them where they are now makes me kind of root for them a bit. And I actually want to see this team succeed, and we'll be watching them closely in the playoffs as they are one of the most fun and entertaining teams in the NBA. You let me know what you guys think of the Kings in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.